queue to Barcelona.
Welcome to Skip the Queue, the podcast about attractions and the amazing people who work with them. I'm your host, Paul Marden, and with my co-host Andy Povey and roving reporter Claire Furnival, we're coming to you from IAAPA Expo Europe. This is the first of 3 episodes from the show floor that will come to you over the next 3 days. Firstly, I'm joined today by Andy Hadden, the founder of Lost Shore Surf Resort. Andy, welcome to Skip the Queue. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to be here.
Andy, tell us a little bit about your journey. You've opened this amazing attraction up there in Scotland, where I was on holiday a couple of weeks ago, and tell us a little bit about that attraction. Why this and why in Scotland?
Well, I grew up locally, and I came from more of a sporting family than so much of a business family. My father was the international rugby coach for a while, and I played a lot of sport.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we always had this thing about there wasn't enough facilities here in Scotland, because Scotland's a place which doesn't necessarily have all the resource and the access to funds and everything else like that. But one thing we noted with, if you created facilities, whether they be good tennis facilities, good 4G football pitches, whatever it was, it allowed the environment around it to prosper, the communities around it to prosper. And of course, I was a chartered surveyor by trade, so I worked in insolvency and then in investment. So I saw the 2 sides to that market. And
Right.
but I always surfed. And so whilst I was down in Birmingham in England, when I actually got an email in 2012 talking about some surfy thing that might have been happening in Bristol, I called the head of destination consulting up, and I said, this sounds like nonsense, to be honest, because I surf and you can't really be talking about real surfing waves here. It's got to be something, different. He said, no, there's these guys in the Basque Country. So I hopped on a flight over there, and that day changed everything for me.
Oh, really? So what was it that you saw?
I went to see what was back then a secret test facility in the mountains of the Basque Country. It was very cloak and dagger. I had to follow the guy, didn't give me the email address. I found this all very exciting. But when I went and actually saw this facility, I realised that for the decade before that, there'd been all these amazing minds, engineers and surfers working on what they believed could be, a big future of not just the inland surfing movement that's now burgeoning into a multi-billion-dollar global movement, but it could really affect surfing. And if it was going to affect surfing as a sport, and it's now an Olympic sport because of these facilities, they wanted to make sure that it was a very accessible piece of kit. So it could affect surfing if ran by the right people in the right ways and really communicate that stoke of the sport to the masses.
So what is it that you've built in Edinburgh then? Tell me a little bit about it.
So we've delivered a Wave Garden Cove, which is a 52 module wave garden, which is about the size of 3 football pitches, and it can run hundreds of waves an hour at the touch of a button, and it can run in skiing parlance anything from green runs right through to sort of black powder runs. And the beauty of it is you can have people that are the better surfers out the back, and just like at the beach at the front, you've got their kids and learning how to surf on the white water. So we're finding it to be a really amazing experience, not just for surfers who are obviously flocking to us, but already here in Scotland, 8 months in, tens of thousands of new surfers are all coming back and just going, wow, we've got this thing on our doorstep. This is blowing our minds,
Wowzers. I'm guessing that the infrastructure and the technology that you need to be able to create this kind of inland wave centre is key to what you're doing, but you've got to access some funds, I guess, to be able to do this. This is not a cheap thing for you to be able to put together, surely.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I have questioned my own sanity at times, but when I started 10 years ago, I had no money and no land, but I did have some property expertise, and I wanted to do it in Edinburgh, close to a place that I cared about. So we have excellent networks. So for a few years, whilst we've ended up raising over 100 million in structured finance from a standing start, it took me a couple of years just to raise £40,000, and then I used that to do some quite bizarre things like flying everyone that I cared about, whether they were from the surf community or community stakeholders, politicians, everyone over to the test facility to see themselves what I could see, to sort of, is it this, am I just getting carried away here, or is there something in this? And then on top of that, we sponsored the world's first PhD in surf therapy with that first 5,000. So now we have a doctor in surf therapy who now takes me around the world to California and all these places to go, how does this business actually really genuinely care about, giving back? And I'm like, yeah, because we said we're going to do this once. We got to do it right. And it took us a decade. But yeah, we raised the money and we're very happy to be open.
I mentioned a minute ago I was holidaying in Scotland. I bookended Edinburgh, both sides of the holiday, and then I was in Skye for a few days as well. There's something about Edinburgh at the moment. There is a real energy as a coming up as a tourist. There was way too much for me to be able to do. It seems to be a real destination at the moment for people.
Yeah, well, I think, look, coming from the background I came from, if I knew I was going to deliver a surfing park in the edge of Edinburgh, I then wanted to do it in the least risky way possible. So to do that, I thought land ownership was key, and 3 business plans was also very key. So Edinburgh's in need of accommodation regardless, and Edinburgh's also in need of good places, a good F&B for friends and family just to go and hang out at the weekends. And then, of course, you have the surfing, and we've got a big wellness aspect too. We also sit next to Europe's largest indoor climbing arena, and we're obviously very well connected in the centre of Scotland to both Edinburgh and Scotland, so many things to do. So, I mean, the Scottish tourism landscape has always been good, but it's just getting better and better as we see this as a future-proof marketplace up here. We're not building ships anymore. But people, in fact, we got a contract the other week to build one, so that maybe that's wrong. But we're the point is we see it as a very future-proof place because the Americans are flying in, the Europeans are flying in. They just want to feel like they're part of something very Scottish, and that's what we've tried to do in our own special way.
And when you think of coming to Scotland, of course, you think about surfing, don't you?
Of course, you do now as well.
Exactly. Look, you had some recent high-profile support from Jason Connery, the son of the late James Bond actor Sean Connery. How did that come about?
Well, I think there's a real Scottish spirit of entrepreneurialism that goes back, probably right the way through to the Enlightenment, where, I'm sure a lot of you know how many inventions came from Scotland, and this is televisions, telephones, penicillin.
Absolutely.
I mean, just the list goes on. Right? But of course, that was a long, long time ago, but we still feel a lot of pride in that. But there seems to be a lot of people who've had success in our country, like someone like Sir Sean Connery. These guys are still very proud of that. So when they see something very entrepreneurial, where we're using a lot of local businesses to create something bigger than the sum of its parts, and to do it truly not just to be a profitable private business, which is what it is, but to give back 18 million into the local economy every year, to work with schools in terms of getting into curriculums. We've got Surf Lab, we work with universities, charities and so on. They really want to support this stuff. So we have over 50 shareholders, and they've each invested probably for slightly different reasons. They all have to know that or hope that their money is a good bet, but I think they all want to feel like they're part of creating a recipe for a surf resort, which we believe there's going to be hundreds of around the world in the next few years, and we can create that recipe here in Scotland. That's hopefully another example of Scottish innovation and entrepreneurialism.
So you've got the test bed that happened in the Basque Country. You've got Scotland now. Where are there surf resorts like this elsewhere in the world?
Yeah, there are 8 others open in the world. There's various technologies. So there's about 25 different surf parks open at the moment, but there's dozens under construction. Pharrell Williams has just opened one in Virginia Beach a few weeks ago there in America. And what the equity, I think, is looking at quite rightly, the big equity, the type that go right, if this really is a kind of Top Golf in steroids, in that property developers can look at them as excellent ways to get through their more standardized property plays, residential, office, industrial. Usually they have to do that in a kind of loss leading way. But if you look at this as a leisure attraction, which councils and cities actually want because of the benefits, and it makes you money, and it increases the prices of your residential around it, I think developers are starting to realise there's a sweet spot there. So the equity, the big equity, I think, is about to drop in this market over the next couple of years, and it's just waiting for the data set to enable them to do that.
Wow. I guess there's an environmental impact to the work that you do. Trying to create any big project like this is going to have some sort of environmental impact. You've put in place a environmental sustainability strategy before it was mainstream as it is now. So tell us some of the things that you've put in place to try to address that environmental impact of what you're doing.
Well, we're in a disused quarry, so it was a brownfield site. So already just by building on it and creating an amenity, we're also adding to the biodiversity of that site. We're obviously, there's no escaping the fact that we're a user of energy. There's just no escaping that. So the reality is we've got as much sustainable energy use as we can, from air source heat pumps to solar. We're looking at a solar project, so it becomes completely self-sustaining. But we also, the electricity we do access from the grid is through a green tariff. But you'll see a lot of the resorts around the world, this is going to become the sort of the main play, is to become sort of sustainable in that sense. Where we really fly is with the S in ESG, and like you say, the reason we were the world's first institutionally backed wave park. Of course, we like to think it was purely down to our financials, but the reality is they started saying, "Wow, you're as authentic an ESG company as we've come across," you know.
Yeah.
And it's the same with our mission-based national bank. So because we didn't really know what that meant, we just knew it was the right thing to do. So we fit squarely into that ESG category, which I know is it is a tick box for a lot of funds, let's face it. There's a lot of them that really want to do that, and there's a lot of investors out there that want to do it. But let's understand our place in the system, which is we're really market leading in that area, and I think that's very attractive for a lot of funds out there. But the S in ESG is where we really fly with all the work we're doing socially around the site.
So talk to me a little bit about that. How are you addressing that kind of the social responsibility piece?
Well, two examples would be, we're not just looking at schools to come here to surf. That's an obvious one. They'll go to any attraction to surf. If you could go to Laser Quest and go up to the castle and do whatever. But we reverse engineered it. We got schools coordinators to go around the headmasters and the schools and say, well, look, you're all teaching STEM, science, technology, engineering, maths for 9 to 13-year-olds. And you're all looking for outdoor learning now, which is definitely a big part of the future in education in general. Can you allow us to create some modules here? So we've got 6 modules that actually fit into that STEM strategy. So like, for instance, last week there was a school in learning physics, but they were using surf wax on a surfboard and friction.
Amazing.
So these kids, so it works for schools and headmasters, which is very important, and for parents, and it obviously works for the kids and they love it. And the reason we do that, and we give it's all at discounted low times and everything, is because it's a numbers game. They come back at the weekend and so on. So that's example one. And another would be, we've created a surf lab with Napier University, higher education. So it's we sponsored the world's first doctor who got a PhD in surf therapy, but then the university was like, hold on a minute, you know, this is good marketing for us as well.
Yeah.
So this surf lab, which has the infrastructure to host great competitions, but also PhD students can come down and learn engineering, they can learn sustainable energy. So we've got more PhD students working there. And this higher university collaboration has not only led to older kids coming down, but other universities in the area are now, what can we do with Lost Shore now that's cool and fun? So we're working with the other universities in town too. So that's a couple of examples alongside the standard, you know, employing local people and, you know, actually having the economics of putting money into the local economy.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think you can see from that So for many people, the ESG and it's especially the social responsibility piece feels a little bit worthy. It feels an altruistic move for the organisation to go and do those things. But you've hit on the quid pro quo. What do you get back for doing all of this stuff? Well, you're bringing in these kids, you're enriching their learning, you're helping them to learn valuable skills, but you're also giving them a taster of what life is like at the resort, and seeing the benefit of the return visits that flow from that. It's crazy.
I think where we've, I like to think we've fought as hard as anyone to ingrain this stuff in your DNA, because we're year one, and of course we have our cash flow difficulties like everyone does. You don't know how to run the place for the first 3 months, or that's what it feels like, even though you've done all this preparation and so on and so forth. But at no point does anyone turn around and go, let's get rid of the schools program, let's get rid of the university partnership. And that's why I think it's very important to build it into your DNA, because it doesn't have to be this zero-sum game that people attribute, we're giving here, so that means we have to take over here. It's like there's cute ways to do everything. You can do the right thing, but also drive traffic for your business. And it's very good reputationally. It's good reputationally, because the people that stay there, when they see that we're doing this stuff, they feel like they're part of it, and then they want to book again. So it's, I believe it doesn't have to be a zero-sum game, but it is a different way of creating a business, that's for sure. For sure.
So there's going to be a listener out there, I'm sure, with a crazy idea like you had a few years ago. What advice would you give for somebody just starting out thinking of opening a business in the leisure and attraction sector?
I would just try your best to make it as simple as possible. I think it was Yves Schoonard, the founder of Patagonia, said one of the hardest things in life is to make it simple. It's so easy to make it complex. And when you're dealing with a business plan, it's very exciting, right? Well, what do we get into this market? What do we do this? And splitting it all into those components. I think arm yourself with very good people around you. They don't even have to be part of the company. If you've got if you've been a good person in your life, I'm sure you've got friends who you can tap into. Everyone knows an architect, everyone knows an accountant, everyone knows a lawyer through a friend of a friend. And I think just overload yourself with as much information to get you to the point where you can be assertive with your own decisions. Because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to you making your own decisions. And if you've got a very clear path of what success and failure looks like, understanding that it ain't going to look like your business plan, but as long as it's got the broad shapes of where you want to go, it can get you out of bed every day to try and make things happen. So just go for it, and really that's it.
see where it takes you. So look, in the world of themed entertainment, we talk a lot about IP and storytelling and creating magical experiences. Are any of these concepts relevant to a destination like yours?
Yeah, well, technically from an IP perspective, we're using the Wavegarden Cove technology. We've purchased that. So from a strictly business perspective, we have access to their sort of IP in that sense, and we deliver that. But I think for us, it's the IP is the destination is so unique, it's so big that it becomes defendable at scale. So it does sound like a bit of an all-in poker hand, but it doesn't. It would be more risky to go half in, because these things are very hard to build. But when they are built, they're also very hard to compete with. So as long as your customer experience is good enough, you're going to maintain a kind of exclusivity in your locality for long into the future. So, there's obviously IP issues in terms of technologies, but for us, it was all about creating a destination with 3 business plans that's greater than the sum of its parts. And if we can do that in our location, then it's very hard to compete against, I would say.
Look, Andy, it sounds like such an exciting journey that you've been on, and 1 year in, that journey has still got a long way to play out, doesn't it? You must be on quite the roller coaster. Well, surfing quite a wave at the moment, if I don't mix my metaphors so badly. Yeah, we're just entering maybe the penultimate phase of the sort of 20-year plan. We've gone through our early stages, our fundraising, our construction.
we've gone through the very hard sort of like getting the team together and opening year one, and we're just starting to go, okay, we understand, we've got data now, we understand how to run this place now. So I think we want to push through to stabilisation in the next 2 or 3 years, and then hopefully we've got a lot of irons in the fire globally as well. Hopefully we can go to the next phase, but we'll see what happens. In worst case scenario, I just surf a bit more and maybe try and enjoy my lot.
Well, Andy, it's been lovely talking to you. I've been really interested to hear what you've been up to. I would love, this was only a short snippet of an interview. I reckon there's some more stories for you to tell once you're into year 2. So I'd love for you to come back and we'll do a full-on interview once you've got year 2 under your belt. How does that sound to you?
Absolutely, Paul, and thanks very much for the platform.
Next up, let's hear from some of the exhibitors on the floor. Beckett, introduce yourself for me, please, and tell me a little bit about where you're from.
We have 2 companies located in Turkey, Istanbul, and Los Angeles, USA. We develop attractions equipment, but not just equipment, also software, AI, and content, games and movies.
Oh, wow. So you're here at IAAPA. This is my very first morning of my very first IAAPA, so it's all very overwhelming for me. Tell me, what is it that you're launching at IAAPA today?
Today we're launching our bestseller Hurricane. It's a coaster simulator. In addition to that, we also launching a special immersive tunnel, Mars Odyssey. We're sending people to Mars, we're sending people to space, and the story, of course, may change. After you install the attractions, you always can create different kind of content for this attraction. It's completely immersive, and what is very unique for this attraction, it's edutainment. Theme park, science centers, space centers, museums. Wow. It's not just to show and entertain, but also educate and give a lot of useful information for people.
So, what would you say is unique about this?
There is several factors. First of all, it's equipment. Have a very special software which amazingly synchronizes with the content, and it doesn't create motion sickness at all.
Oh, really?
This is very important. Independently on the speeds, which is we have a very high speeds in our simulators. In addition to that, we have special effects, unusual effects, which feel like cold, heat, sounds.
So it is truly 4D then, isn't it?
Completely. In addition to that, it's interactive content. It's not just the content which you can sit and watch and entertain yourself and get a lot of useful information, but also you can interact. You can play games, you can shoot, you can interact. And of course, the most important thing which makes this attraction innovative, it's educational aspect.
I find that really interesting that you could see this ride at a theme park, but similarly you can see it as an educational exhibit at a science centre or space centre. I think that's very interesting.
Very, very. Especially, the standard experience for space centres, science centres, and especially museums, it's just walking around, touch some stuff. Some you may not even touch it. It's exponents which you can watch, you can read, it's very nice, but it's even better when you let people live it in real, with a nice simulation atmosphere environment like immersive tunnel.
Absolutely. Beckett, thank you so much for joining us on Skip the Queue, and I look forward to enjoying one of the rides.
Please ride, and you will be amazed. We can shoot.
My name is Hamza. I work for TÜV Süd, Germany. Our main job is to make sure attractions are safe, parks are safe. We do everything from design review to initial examination of rides to yearly checks and making sure that we push the standards and the norm to the next level and cover everything that comes in new in the industry as well to make sure this industry stays safe and enjoyable for people.
It's so important though, isn't it? At an event like this, you don't have a sexy stand with lots of really cool rides to experience, but what you do is super important.
Yes, I guess it's not one of the big colorful booths, but it's at the heart of this industry. It's in the background. If you look at the program for the education, there is a lot of safety talks. There is a lot of small groups talking about safety, trying to harmonize norms as well, because if you look at the world right now, we have the EN standards, we have the American standards, and we're working right now to try to bring them closer together. So it's as easy and safe and clear for all manufacturers and operators to understand what they need to do to make sure that their guests are safe at the end of the day.
So, Hamza, there's some really cool tech that you've got on the stand that is something new that you've brought to the stand today.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So as you can see, we have one of the drones right here and the video behind you. So we're trying to include new technologies to make it easier, faster, and more reliable to do checks on big structures like this or those massive buildings that you usually see. You can get really, really close with the new technologies, the drones with the 4K cameras. You can get very, very precise. We're also working on AI to train it to start getting the first round of inspections done using AI, and just our expert to focus on the most important and critical aspects. So we're just going to make it faster, more reliable.
So I guess if you've got the drone, that means you don't have to walk the entire ride and inspect it by eye.
No, we still have to climb.
Okay.
So what we do is more preventive using the drones. So the drones, especially with the operators, they can start using them, and if they notice something that does not fit there, we can go and look at it. But the actual yearly inspections that are acceptable by the governments, you still need to climb, you still need to check it yourself. So the technology is not right there yet, but hopefully we're going to get there.
We're a long way away from the robots coming and taking the safety engineer's job then.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And I don't think they're going to come take our jobs anytime soon. Using technology hands in hands with our expertise, that's the future.
It must be so exciting for you guys because you have to get involved in all of these projects, so you get to see the absolute tippy-top trends as they're coming towards you.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we're always 3 years before the public knowledge, so it's exciting to be behind the scene a little bit and knowing what's going on. We're seeing some really fun and creative ideas using AI to push the attractions industry to the next level. So I'm excited to see any new rides that will be published or announced at some points this week.
Very cool. Look, Hamza, it's been lovely to meet you. Thanks for coming on Skip the Queue.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My name is Christophe. I live in Belgium. I'm working for the Tomorrowland Group already now for 3 years, especially on the leisure part.
Tell listeners a little bit about Tomorrowland, because many of our listeners are attraction owners and operators. They may not be familiar with Tomorrowland.
Yeah, so Tomorrowland is already 20 years, I think, one of the number one festivals in the world. Actually, already for the last years, always the number one in the world. And what makes us special is that we are not just a festival, but we are a community. We create special occasions for people, and it starts from the moment that they buy their tickets.
Okay.
Till the festival, we make a special feeling that people like. And I think we create a world, and each year we work very hard on new theme that goes very deep. So not only making a festival, but we go very deep in our branding, not only with our main stage, but we also make a book about it, we make gadgets about it, so it's a complete experience.
Wow. Help listeners to understand what it is that you're doing new here at the moment. You're blending that festival experience, aren't you, into attractions?
Yeah, that's right. So because we are already 20 years on the market building IP, the more and more we really are able to create a complete experience, not only the IP as a brand, but also all the things around it. We have our own furniture, we have our own plates, we create actually all elements that are needed to build a leisure industry project.
Wow.
And that makes it magnificent. I think we are capable now with everything that we do in-house to set up and to facilitate water park and attraction park projects completely.
So, have you got any attractions that are open at the moment?
Well, we have the Ride to Happiness, of course, the coaster that is built in Plopsaland 3 years ago.
Okay.
That is already now for 5 years the number one steel coaster in Europe.
Wow.
And the fifth steel coaster in the world. So this is a project we are very proud of. Beside that, we did already a lot of immersive experiences. And we are constructing now a secret project that will be announced in the beginning of next year.
Wow.
Somewhere in
Can
Europe.
you give us a little sneak peek what that might look like?
It's not that far from here.
Okay. Okay. Excellent.
So it's more an outdoor day project that we are constructing that for sure will be something unique.
Excellent. So look, you're already planning into 2026. Help help listeners to understand what the future might look like. What trends are you seeing in the sector for next year?
Well, I think more and more the people expect that they get completely a deep dive into branding. I don't think that people still want to go to non-IP branded areas. They want to have the complete package from the moment that they enter. They want to be immersed with everything around it, and they want a kind of a surrounding, and they want to have the feeling that they are a bit out of the normal life and a deep dive in a new environment. And I think this is something that we try to accomplish.
Wow.
David Youngman, I'm the Director of Business Development here at Expo, based in Germany, and super excited to be here at IAAPA in Barcelona. We're exhibiting our whole range of solutions, from ticketing to point of sale to virtual queuing to mobile apps. And one of the features we're calling out today is our Expo Pay 3.0 checkout flow, which streamlines donations, ticket insurance, relevant payment types by region on one simple one-click checkout page.
What impact does that have on customers when they're presented with that simple one-click checkout?
Yeah. Well, as you guys know, conversion rate super important, number of clicks in an e-commerce environment super important. And because we're at IAAPA Europe, we've got guests here from all over Europe, right? And different regions require different payment types. And it's important to not overload a checkout page with like 8 different types for, let's say, German guests, Dutch guests, Belgium guests, is to be able to only offer what's relevant and to keep it short and sweet. Yeah. And then rolling in additional features like donations, ticket insurance, and gift cards, stuff like that.
Amazing. So get your crystal ball out and think about what the world in 2026 is going to be like.
I think this year was a little bit soft in terms of performance for the parks, certainly in Europe, what we've seen. I think what that will mean is that maybe some will consider, really big capex investments, but what that also means is they will get creative. So I envision a world where instead of buying a roller coaster for 20 million, maybe some operators will start thinking about how can we make more out of what we've got with less, right? How can we be really creative? And I think there's a lot to uncover next year for us to see.
Sweating their assets maybe to be able to extend what they do without that big CapEx project.
Yes, how can we keep innovating? How can we keep our experience fresh without, just buying something very expensive straight away? And I think that's what we see.
What is going to be innovating for Expo and the market that you serve?
Well, for us, it's really about that streamlined, consistent guest experience, but also tying into things like immersive experiences, right? Where you could maybe change the overlay of an attraction and feed in personalized information that you have for your visitors and collect it during, the booking flow when they enter the venue, and feeding that into the actual experience. I think that's something I'm excited about.
I think that there's a missed opportunity by so many attractions. There's so much data that we build, and we collect the data, but oftentimes we don't bring it together into a central place and then figure out the ways in which we want to use it. There's so much more you can do with that rich data, isn't there?
100%, exactly. And I don't just mean from a marketing perspective, I mean from an actual experience perspective.
Completely.
Right? Let's say you ride through a dark ride and all of a sudden your name pops up, or your favorite character pops up and waves hello to you, that's the type of stuff you want to do, not just market the hell out of it.
Absolutely. Look, David, it's been so good to meet you. Thank you ever so much. And thank you for joining Skip the Queue.
Thanks, Paul. Have a great day at the show.
Isn't it great? I mean, we have got such an amazing job, haven't we, to be able to come to a place like this and be able to call this work.
Absolute privilege. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, Andy and I wanted to have a little chat about what we've seen today and what we've enjoyed. Why don't we sit down? You have clearly returned to your tribe. Is there a person in this place that doesn't actually know you?
There's loads. I've been doing the same thing for 30 years.
Yeah, this ain't your first radio, is it?
I'm big and I'm loud, so I stand out in a crowd. I mean, they're all fantastic things that I should put on my CV. But this is really where I feel at home. This industry continues to blow me away. We're here, we're talking to competitors, we're talking to potential customers, we're talking to previous customers, we're talking to people that we've worked with, and it's just all so friendly and so personally connected. I love it.
It has been awesome. I've really enjoyed it. Although I am beginning to get into the Barry White territory of my voice, because it's quite loud on the show floor, isn't it?
It is. It's actually quieter than previous shows. So I don't know why, and I don't know whether maybe I'm just getting old and my hearing's not working quite so well. But You used to walk out of the show and you could almost feel your ears relax as they just stopped hearing and being assaulted, I suppose, by machines pinging and blowing and...
Oh, it really is an assault on the senses, but in the very best way possible.
Absolutely. I feel like a child. You're walking around the show, you're going, wow, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow, wow.
So what has been your highlight?
Do you know, I don't think I could give you one. It really is all of the conversations, the connections, the people you didn't know that you hadn't spoken to for 2 years.
So for me, my highlight, there was a ride that I went on, a DOF robotics.
I've seen that, man.
So it was amazing. I thought I was going to be feeling really, really sick and that I wouldn't enjoy it, but it was amazing. So I had Emily with the camera in front of me, and within 10 seconds I'd forgot that I was being recorded and that she was there. I was completely immersed in it, and I came off it afterwards feeling no motion sickness at all and just having had a real good giggle all the way through. I was grinning like the Cheshire Cat.
The grinning thing.
Yeah. So, tomorrow, what are you looking forward to?
So it's more of the same. It really is. There's going to be some sore heads after tonight's party at Tribadabo, and we're all hoping the rain holds off long enough for it to be a great experience. But more of the same.
Well, let's meet back again tomorrow, shall we?
Completely.
Let's make a date. Thanks for listening to today's episode from IAAPA Expo Europe. As always, if you've loved today's episode, like it and comment in your podcast app. If you didn't like it, let us know at hello@skipthequeue.fm. Show notes and links can also be found on our website, skipthequeue.fm. Thanks to our amazing team, Emily Burrows and Sammy Entwistle from Plaster Creative Communications, Steve Folland from Folland Co, and our amazing podcast producer, Wenlyn Dionaldo. Come back again tomorrow for more show news.